So what I want to know from students who are doing the warm-up is, what do you think my first step is going to be? What do you think my first step is going to be? Maybe somebody can even tell us. So who's feeling generous, like they want to share their mathematical knowledge with the group? How should I start this warm-up question? Let's Okay, so I think the 27 and the 9 are causing the biggest problems for me. That would who would agree with me on that? Would you start with the 27 and the 9? So I think what I'm going to do is I would say, look, the 3 can stay here, but the 27 needs to be broken down, and the 9 actually can be broken down, and then there's a 2 and the x minus 2 next to that. And so that is what I would start with. What do we think is going to be in, oh, this should have an x minus 2. So I think the 27 can be 3 to the 3, and the 9 can be 3 to the 2. What am I going to have to do next? Who would like to put their hand up and give us a guide as to what we do next? So welcome to Kaylee. Okay, I've welcome Kaylee already, but Lufuno and Jabulo and Mfundo, it's great to have you with us. We are just doing the warm-up question for today. And if anybody wants to put their hand up to say what do they think the next step is going to be, I'm going to say I need to put insurance brackets around here so that I don't forget the 3 gets applied to both of these. And we're all just working through this, and then when you're done, you just say done in the chat. Now, what is this going to be? 2 times 2, that's going to be... Aha, Nomfundo. Okay. So Nomfundo, are you liking what I've done so far? Are you feeling like you are on the right track? Let's see what we can do here. Like if we stay on the top, we're going to get 4x minus 5. And then on the bottom, we're going to get 4x minus 8. Okay, now the question is, what do we need to do to go from there? What do we need to do? Who feels like they know what I need to do? Okay, Buchle, how's it going? What do you think I should do?
So I would say that we have to split the two exponents together. So it would be 3 to the power of 4x times 3 to the power of minus 5 over 3 to the power of 4x times 3 to the power of minus 8.
So you're splitting that into 2 pieces. And then what are you doing with this thing on the bottom?
I split it as well.
Okay, so then you're going to have 3 to the 4x times 3 to the minus 8. Would that be correct?
That's what I did, yes, sir.
Perfect. And next step, what did you do after that?
So then I just canceled out.
So canceled out
so
these 2?
Those 2, and then 3 to the power of minus 5 minus 3 to the power of minus 8 gave me 3 to the power of 3.
Yes, because you've got minus 5 plus 8, so you get 3 to the 3. And then
Yes, sir.
actually 3 to the 3 is just 27. And so
Yes, sir.
that's it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Well done. Okay, everyone, we're going to formally start the lesson now. Thank you, Bukhle. That was great. And honestly, guys, I can't tell you how nice it is to hear another student explain it, because everyone has different perspectives. And I learn something when people explain it, but your classmates do too. So really, it's almost like an act of service. So don't be afraid to give your thinking. Okay, let me just get going for today. To start today, we're just going to consolidate from the last lesson. And there's a little checklist that sums up what we did in the last lesson. So it says, how to simplify expressions consisting of one term. Now, this big example here is one term because it's multiply, 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 divide, divide, divide. So what you need to do is it says, here are the steps. Rewrite all the composite numbers as a product of their prime factors. Then use the exponential laws to raise all the powers. Then use all the rules of division to move all the bases into the numerator. And then you're going to simplify. So this is a proper exam question. I want you to apply these 4 steps, and then I want you to raise your hand and ask questions if you're unsure. But otherwise, we're going to do this one as an example. And if we're okay with this, I'll move on to the next thing. Then I feel like if we do some quiz work on this question, we've got it in the bag. I'll leave that checklist up for you. Let's do this. Go team. Okay, so I think we need to break down the 9, the 6, the 12. That would be my feeling. Let's see if you can. Do that. Okay, sorry, I'm just making it a bit smaller so I can write. So let's have a look here. So the 2 doesn't actually have to do too much. Just click done in the chat when you feel like you are done, just so I have a feel for how the general pace of the group is. And what would 12 be? I think 12 could be written as 4 times 3, but actually we can just write that as 2 times 2 times 3. So now what do we have if we have all of that together? So we have that. We have that. Now we have to be careful here because there's a 1 and a 1. And you put this insurance bracket. So really, this is going to catch some students. I know it. But you get that. And then on the bottom, you are going to get 2 to the 3x, because there's a 1 and a 1 and a 1 here. Now, there are other ways we could do this, but I'm just kind of following the ways. Okay, so there's that. And now what we need to do is we need to clean this up. Oh, Naledi has already got a final answer. Okay, Naledi, you're a bit ahead of me, but we're going to get there, chop, chop. So what I'm going to do is, are there any obvious ones where we can cancel? Actually, you know what? It's a bit of a mess, eh? So I'm going to look for all the 2's on top, and I'm going to move them together. So I get 2 to the 6x plus 1 minus 1. Okay, so that is the same thing. And then this is 3 to the 4x minus 1. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have 2 to the 6x, which is that. No, I lie. Ooh, who can spot my error? What should I have said? 2 to the what? I almost made a boo-boo. What should I have said? What should I have said? So I've got a 3 to the x, a 3 to the x. So I should have, wait, sorry, I should have 2 to the 6x, and then I should have 3 to the 4x, because 3 to the 2x, 3 to the 2x is 2 to the 6x, sorry. And then I've got that. Now that cancels, and then we have these 2 to deal with. But if I move that to the top, so there's different ways of doing this, but basically if I move that 4x to the top, it becomes a negative. And then, goodness gracious me, I put them all together, and that's going to cancel. So I've got 3 to the minus 1. I really am making a handful here. And so, Naledi, you and me agree. Give me a thumbs up if you followed that. That was quite a mission. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't follow that. I just want to get a feel for how the group felt. Okay, fantastic. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the next part of the lesson. And I'm going to call this fractions, or exponents with fractions, or rational exponents is sometimes what we call this. And so I just want to start with this bit here. Okay. So what we have is, we have some basic laws of exponents that we need to get comfortable with. Now, this looks a little bit odd. So that's the one phrasing of it. And here is the other phrasing of it. And it connects, what it's connecting is it's connecting surds or radical brackets to powers. So to show you how this works, if I have the square root of 9, that is the same as saying 9 to the power of a half. If I say the cube root of 8, that is the same as saying 8 to the power of a third. That is what this law is trying to show you. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you, if this this connection between powers and like radical brackets or square brackets makes sense. Okay, now that's the one bit of notation. The other one is this. Now there's 2 fractions. So what if they say to you, look, I want to have 9 to the power of 2/3. Well, if you look at this, there's this n here, and this n suddenly goes to the outside. So what do we see now? Well, 9 and 2/3 can also be written as 9 squared cube rooted, which is a little bit weird, but it's true. Another way of thinking about this is that, let's say we have 4 to the power of 2/3, and then that can also be written as 4 to the 2, and then on the outside we have a 3. Okay, so, oh, goodness gracious, sorry. So, are we all happy with that basic interpretation? Thumbs up if that basic idea is clear to you. Thumbs down if if it's unclear to you, because we want to see these in action now. So what we have is, if we have to say something like 32 to the power of 3/5, we can break down 32 into 2 to the power of 5, and then we can multiply the fractions. And then if we imagine canceling out, so it's 5/1, that 5 cancels, we get 2 to the 3, and then we get 8. So we're kind of moving into the world where we have bases and powers that are fractions, and we kind of want to learn how to work with these. Okay, enough talk from me. Let us do a multiple choice question. So I do love a good multiple choice question. So I want you to look at this question. It says 16 to the power of 3/2. And I want you to choose an option, A, B, C, or D. You can let me know in the chat. I would love someone to explain their thinking here. So I'm not so much interested in the answer. I want to hear from a student, what type of thinking are you engaging when you deal with this question? Because that will help other students in the class. So just pop your hand up. Maybe I think I saw Zandre, Buchle, Nomfundo, and a lady, you all answered it. Would you be willing to share your thinking? Just pop your hand up if you're willing. It would be so nice to just hear how you approach the problem. What was your first step that you engaged with? I think that 16 could either be broken down to 4 squared, or it could be written as 2 to the 4. And both of those are fine. I'm wondering which ones you guys chose. So people who've locked their answers in, like Buchle, Zandre, Nomfundo, what did you use as your first step? Because there's some choice here. I'm wondering what you did. Okay, so Buchle says that's the way to go. And I think I know why Buchle did that, because you saw the twos there. So it was almost like you could say, look, this is 2 times a half. And now what I can do, sorry, actually, this should be 3/2. And I'm guessing, Buchle, you thought that's my ticket to ride. Yeah. So, and Nomfundo used 2 to the 4, and they both got the same answer. So this is interesting. So Buchle got 4 to the 3, which is 64, which is B. Now let's see what Nomfundo did. Nomfundo said, look, 2 to the 4, but the same law can be used, except here, I guess you would get 2 to the 12/, wait, what am I doing here? 3/2. Oh, you're going to get 2 to the 6. So 12/2, which is 2 to the 6, but 2 to the 6 is also 64. And so the correct answer is B. Well done. Nicely done. So both of you guys got that right. Okay, let's go to this next one, where we're dealing with fractional powers. Now, if you feel like I'm going too fast, please do let me know in the chat. But I want to see, now today's lesson is really about getting used to using powers that are fractions. And can you basically work out what this is going to end up being, A, B, C, or D? I want you to go for it. What do you get for that one? and is that a negative half? Oh, it is indeed a negative half. Let me zoom in. So one of the magic things is if you ask a question in the chat, because we're live, I can respond. So I know some of you are on cell phones, and I know it's quite small. So just let me know, and I will make your life easier if I can. It's like sitting at the back of the class, eh? And you can't see the board. Palesa, that is okay. Palesa, we need to. Can I suggest, Palesa, that after the lesson tonight, maybe sometime, send all your details to our customer service number on WhatsApp and say, look, this is the internet connection I'm using. This is the like device I'm using, and we can try and figure out why you're struggling. Okay. Because we do want to help you, and it's just the beginning of the year stuff, so we have to, sort out some of these little niggles, but we'll get there. And then you just look at the recording, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I think I need to change the 1/16 to something, and I'm going to make it 1/4 squared. But what's my next step? Kaylee, what do you think? What do I need to do to go from this to get to the answer? What do you think we should do? Because this is the devil's in the detail here. Oh, there we go. The lady is laying it down there. So, oh, I see, Naledi, you went to the twos. So it is also possible to write 1/16 as 2 to the 4, and that will also be fine. I'm going to go with this method for now. If I bring it to the top, it becomes 4 to the -2 to the -1/2. And now I need to multiply these two together. So I go -2 times -1/2. Now a minus times a minus is a plus, and 2 times 1/2 is actually 1. And so the answer is going to be B. And Umfundo agrees. If we look at this method, if I bring the 2 to the top, I get that. And then what's going to happen is I multiply these two together, and I'm going to get +2, which is also 4. And so we are ending up with B, which is fantastic. Thumbs up if you're feeling okay. Thumbs down if you're feeling a bit lost. And then we're going to do one more question before our break. And again, be honest, guys, because that's the wonderful thing about the online format is there's some degree of anonymity. Like you don't have to be honest so that I can adjust in real time to the needs of the students. Okay, let's do this one before we have a break. What does that equal? I'll make it nice and big so it stands out. And then it's time for a break. What do we have here? This is a bit trickier. Can anybody give us a tip? Because before it was easy, we just had one number, but now there's a fraction. So I think someone in the room can help us. Maybe I can write 8 as that, and that like that, and then I just leave this bit here. That seems okay to me. Now, what do I do now? Okay, Bukle has locked in an answer. I'm not sure what the answer is yet, Bukle, but we're going to get there soon. What I like about this is I can now multiply this by that and that by that as well. So if I do that, what do I get? I get 2 to the 3 times -2/3. And then on the bottom, I have 3 to the 3. What I like to do is put anything over 1, just so I know there's a 1 there, and that cancels. So I've got 2 to the minus 2 on top, and I've got 3 to the minus 2 on the bottom. And because these are negatives, I want them to be positive. So I'm going to move this to the top, and it becomes 3 squared. And I'm going to move this to the bottom, and that's going to become 2 squared. And then I have 9 over 4, which is D. Okay. Everyone, it's time for a break. So what I want you to do is I want you to turn on your cameras, and I want you to stand away from your desks, and I want you to join me in taking care of your brain. And I'd love to see the student faces. It gives me such a warm and fuzzy feeling. So let us go to the break time. And what I want you to do is I just want you to shake up a little bit. So I want you to shake out your arms, because you've been sitting for half an hour and your brain is going to sleep. I'm actually sweating because it's so hot here. Okay, and let us start with just a bit of neck rolling to the side. So we stretch out our neck, and then we roll our shoulders. We roll them back, and we roll them forward. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do some jumping jacks. And the reason we do jumping jacks is it gets our heart rate up, and so we forget about maths, which is great for break time. So jumping jacks just like this. And we're going to do 15. Make sure that nothing around you so you don't whack anyone. And we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 2, 6, 7, 8, 10. 5 more. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness, my heart rate is pumping. And we have earned a bit of a break. Well done, everyone. And here is, not to make you hungry, but here is today's puzzle question. Let's see who can solve the puzzle question. And while you're solving it, I just want to go deal with the door that is banging in my house. Oh, yeah. Let's have a look. I think the cookies have to be 10. There can be no doubt. What is, so that's 10. What is 1 banana going to be? So banana is 1. And then what is this rather nice biscuit that has all sorts of fancy things on going to be? Well, that's 1, 2. So the biscuit has to be 3. What is the final answer going to be? What is the final answer going to be? So BODMAS says this must get done first. So we get 3 plus 1 plus 10. And the final answer is 14. Because BODMAS says you have to do multiplication. So this has to be done before we do these ones. So we have to get 10. And then we go 3 plus 1. Okay, cool. How are you feeling? Do you feel like the break has restored your concentration? Are you ready for part 2? Are you ready for part two? Let's do this. You see how the magic, oh, flip. I got too excited there. What happened? I made it angry. Oh, there we go. Let's do this. Okay, next question. What is n going to be equal to here? What is n going to be equal to here? So this is what's called an exponential equation. But because the bases are not the same, we've got problems. But I think you guys have the skills to figure out how to make the bases the same. So what do we think? Do we think, I think 8 has to be 2 to the power of 3. But now what is n going to be? Well, we know that the law says these must be multiplied. And since the bases are the same, I think that these two must be equal. So n must be 24. There's a lot of B's today. Ah, Zinda, there you go. Well done. You got it right, Namfundo. We're on a roll. Oh, I do love a good multiple choice question. You learn so much from them. Okay, let's go to some ones like this. So I want you guys to do for me questions 1 to 3. So, and when you're done with questions 1 to 3, I want you to say done in the chat. So see if you can do these 3 for me now. Simplify the following expressions without a calculator. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. There's not one way. So the very first one has to be 2. And there's actually 2 ways you can do this. You can either change the 8 into 2/3, or you can go from what's called power form to root form. And that's actually the cube root of 8, which is 2. So the answer for number 1 has to be 2. See how we do on the next ones. Okay, awesome. So what we're going to have here is for the second one, we're going to say, look, 1 over 4 is just 1 over 2 to the 2 to the minus 2. And then if we bring the 2 to the top, we get 2 to the minus 2 times minus 2, which really becomes 2 to the 4, which then becomes, what's that going to become? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, it's 16. Give me a thumbs up if you got that right. Give me a thumbs down if you got it wrong. Perfect, Nomfundo. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so that was fine. And then the hardest one was the third one. So let's see. There's a couple of ways we can do the third one. The one way of doing it is to multiply the third by all the powers. So if you have 8, it's 1 times the third. If you have a to the 6, it's times a third. If you have b to the 12, it's times a third. And so then what's 8 to the power of a third? Now, you can either break the 8 down or you can recognize it as the cube root of 8. I think most of us will probably still break it down, so we get that effect going on. Here, 6 over 1, so 6 over 1 times 1 over 3 is just 6 over 3 or 2, but I'll put 6 over 3. And here it was 12 times the third, so it becomes 12 over 3. So now we have 3 times a third, so that's 2 to the 1. Then a to the 6 over 3 is a squared, and 12 over 3 is b to the 4. And so we have 2a squared b to the 4. Nice, Nicole, nice. Okay, you guys are doing well. In fact, you're doing so well that I'm feeling confident that I'm going to... Okay, this is nasty of me. Okay, but anyway, 4 is okay. So see if you can get the answer for 4. And then, you know what, you've done so well. I know this is a bit of a nasty one, but let's just see. Oh my goodness, yeah, this really is a nasty one. Okay, let's leave that for now. For today, that's a little bit too much. So let's just try and do 4, and then we'll go from there. Oh, you can't see. My apologies. Should I zoom in? Will that be helpful? Let's have a look. So I want you to do that one, number 4. Boucle, is that clearer? Is that more in focus? Let me know in the chat. Can everyone see now okay? Oh, you can't see my face. Oh, but you know what it is? Boucle, I didn't put it back after the exercise. So please do let me know in future when that happens. I'm quite prone to doing that. I get a little bit too into my exercise. Okay. I think I want to change this from surd form into root form, which is step 1. And then I want to break 32. I feel like 32 is a power of 2. So we're going to go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So 2 to the 5 times, and then we get 5 times 2 fifths. The fifths cancel, and we get 2 to the power of 2, because 2 to the power of 5 is there. Those 5s cancel. And also, don't forget this trick. This is over 1. So 5 can always be over 1, so you can see that. And then The answer is 4. Perfect, Nicole. Perfect. Very nice. So, yeah, I think we're okay there. Let's squeeze in a few more before we call it quits for today. But you guys have been doing very well. Apologies if I'm giving you a headache from my jumping around. Ooh, that's one. Okay. Let's take on this one over here because you guys have got all those. I want to start taking it up a notch here. Who has an idea about how we can tackle this question? We need to simplify it. Where would you start with simplifying this question? And you can put your hand up to talk us through because this is a harder one. How would you begin dealing with this one? Hit me with some ideas, people. Who has an approach we can borrow? Sharing is caring. You know what they say. Simplify the 27. Yes, the 27. I just find this big cube root bracket a bit of a nightmare. So I was thinking maybe if we had a way of dealing with making it like less of a cube root and we changed it to powers. So I'm going to put this inside, but I'm going to break that down. You're absolutely right, Nicole. I'm going to break it down. But before we do that, I'm going to convert this. Remember what I said earlier in the lesson? This can be to the power of a third. And then it just feels easier. And then, like Nicole and Bouclier were saying, let's break them into primes. So we make that 3 cubed, a cubed, b to the 6. And on the bottom, what am I going to have? What am I going to have on the bottom? 64, if I want to break that into primes. I think 64 feels like a power of 2 or a power of 4. Yeah. So, and there's actually a fact button on your calculator. I'll talk about the next time. But if you look for the fact button, it gives you the factors. So let's go. Nicole and Mfundo have both said that. So now I've got this third floating outside. What do I need to do with that third to finish this question? What do I need? This third is hanging. It's to the power of a third. This whole thing is to a power of a third. Well, actually, everything inside has to be multiplied by a third, but not just on the top, on the bottom as well. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 to the 3 times a third, a to the 3 times the third, b to the 6 times a third, 2 to the 6 times a third, c to the 9. Look at all those thirds. Now, are there some other ways that are quicker sometimes? Yes, maybe. But I want you to just see that's law 3 in action. Look at all those thirds that are coming from here. Now, I want you to see, can you get me the final answer? And then I want you to say done in the chat when you're done. So I've dealt with that. With that, this is going to become, I think, 6 times the third is b to the 2. 6 over 3 is 2, yeah. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have 6 times, so that's 2 squared. And then c is going to be to the 3. So I've dealt with all these. Now, is there any final simplification that can happen? Well, on the top, I have 3ab squared, and on the bottom, I'll have 4c cubed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have had a good lesson. We've covered a lot of content. What was the main focus? It was dealing with exponents where the powers are fractions. We learned how to go between like square root and cube root brackets and powers. And we just got more comfortable working with the laws and definitions of powers.